Hi guys, Tony here from Tony Reviews. What a location. I've just come out on this bike. I had a place in mind that I really wanted to film, you know, some of this stuff, and I got kicked out. So I went on a massive ride and I found this scary location. I'm literally off of a main road behind some bushes. I do feel like I could get ambushed with my e-bike and all my camera equipment at any moment. So let's get on with it. As you know, on my channel I like to review things and give a real person's point of view. So what I'm going to do is, this is my bike. I pay for it with my cash, well, through my salary. I'm doing a salary sacrifice, we'll get into that. So yeah, I'm going to hopefully give you a real person's point of view. We're going to look at the price, the practicality of what it's like actually owning one, the ride, what it's like to ride, and all of the ups and downs and pros and cons of owning and riding it, and then the styling. And hopefully it will give you a little bit more of an insight. If you're thinking about buying an e-bike and you've seen these flying around and you're wondering what is it actually like in real life, I'll hopefully be able to give you a little bit of an insight, and you might help you make your mind up. So let's talk about the first thing, which is price. At 2.5k, just under 2.5k, 2499 is the actual UK price tag. It's not a cheap option, I must admit. E-bikes generally are not a cheap option. And if you're looking to save money with commuting, cycling to work, you know, all that sort of stuff, laying out 2.5k flat down is a massive outlay. Luckily there are options out there, and the way that I've managed to do or get my hands on one of these is through the Cycle to Work scheme, the way that it works out is you get your tax off and all the rest of it. So in real life, all I'm doing is I'm only paying £81 a month for a year out of my salary. And then it's what they call a loan agreement. So at the end of the 4 years, the bike will have a street value of whatever it may be. It will not be worth 2.5k, that'll be for sure. And you'll pay a little salary sacrifice of like 70 quid to sort of clear the loan, and the bike then becomes yours. So there are schemes out there. If you're interested in, you know, commuting, saving yourself a bit of money, maybe getting a little bit fitter, then there are schemes out there to help you get on your way. We'll get on to commuting and that sort of stuff with this. I'll come to that in a later point, but yeah, there are options out there if you want to get your hands on an e-bike that will hopefully not whack your pocket too much as an initial outlay. Right, let's talk practicality. Now, I've got so many things on this list, I'm not going to remember it all, so I'm going to use these bullet points to remind me. So it is a motorised bike, it is pedal assisted, which in the UK, I think, you're not, in America, this bike has a throttle, and you can just use the throttle and you can just zoom around like it's an electric motorbike. In the US, I don't think they even have cogs, so on the back of this bike it's actually got a gearing system, and you pedal, so you are pedalling this bike. I say you are pedalling this bike, you're not really pedalling this bike. This bike, we'll get into it, but this bike, when you put it into level 4 mode, as soon as you give it a quarter of a turn of the pedal, and I'll show you, you shoot off, all right? So in the UK, we're restricted to 16 miles an hour pedal assisted. With that, you don't need a license, it's street legal, okay? Being a US bike, it comes with an app. And the app allows you, it's got 4 levels on the app, and if you put it in off-road mode, you can get a maximum speed out of this bike up to 28 miles an hour. Now, I have taken it up to 28 miles an hour, and I've got to say, it don't feel good at 28. I mean, yeah, it's fun, but you're not allowed to take it on the roads at 28. Let me just put that in there. But if you did take it on the road, which I may have, just to test it and see what it's like, you don't feel safe. It's so fast, everything's going so fast. And the bike's not really set up, you know, in terms of the braking. It's not like a motorbike that you can kick the gear down and get a bit of engine braking. You just got a motor that's pushing you at 28 miles an hour, and you think someone steps out, a car door opens, you know, all that sort of stuff. So anyway, if you are going to use the level 4 off-road, just make sure you do it off-road. But we're just talking about the practicality, so that is what it is. It's capable of 16 miles an hour on your level 4 pedal assisted. If you go on the app and de-restrict it to off-road mode, you can go up to 28 miles an hour. In terms of the range, On the clock, when you start it up, it will say on a fully charged battery, it will tell you you've got 37 miles in terms of the range. What you probably actually get, it depends how much you're actually using the motor to assist your pedaling, so how much effort you're putting in compared to how much effort the bike's putting in. I would say you're going to get somewhere between 25 and 30 miles. It is a heavy, heavy bike. It weighs 33 kilograms, which I think is probably about half my weight. And if you try and pedal this bike without the assistance, you're going to notice it. One, because of the riding position. If I show you, right. So when you're pedaling, you're just doing that, right? It's not like riding a normal bike where you can hide a seat, you know, get the gear in a low gear. It's a lightweight bike. This is a heavy, like, that is, you know, weighs half me, and I'm not light. It's a heavy bike, so if you run out of battery power or you get a flat, you're going to be in a bit of trouble, I would say. Charging time, a full charge, so if the battery is completely dead and you are putting it on charge and you want a full charge, it takes roughly about 8 hours. You don't need to fully decompress, or you don't need to fully decharge the battery before the next charge, so you can do like a half charge and all that and just keep it topped up. So if you were to cycle to work, you could put it on charge at work and it would be fully charged for when you cycle back home. Like I mentioned, it is a heavy bike. If you were to break down, if the electrics were to go wrong or you get a flat tyre, I think you're going to be in a bit of trouble. It doesn't fold in any way like a lot of these commuting bikes do, so if you wanted to jump on the bus or the tube, you're not going to get this on the bus or the tube. They're not going to let you on, so you're going to have to find a way to get home, and it's not going to be pretty, I don't think. But I've got a feeling these tyres are going to be really hard to get off. It's not going to be an easy job, especially as well if you've got a rear jobby going on. You've got all the electric motor, you've got the electric motor in the rear wheel and everything, so yeah, I've not experimented with that, but I don't think it's going to be easy. Obviously, like I mentioned, this brand, Super73, is an American brand. It was developed in California. You think about California, it's sunshine and beautiful wide roads and golden beaches. You think about the UK version comes prepared with mud guards, another little splash bit here, a headlight, because obviously we get darker in the evenings quicker than they do over there. So yeah, it's set up for UK roads and UK weather-ish. I actually read the manual and it said if you can avoid it, avoid riding in the wet, and I think that's because of the electrics. This battery comes off and you've got the hub motor there, but it does say if you can avoid riding in the wet, avoid riding in the wet. And when it comes to cleaning the bike, it says to wipe it down with a damp cloth, so they really don't want water anywhere near this bike. Now, if you're like me and you live in the UK, it's a potential issue. No, I would not want to ride this bike in the wet, and I don't think I will be. Okay, so let's talk parts. Start off with aftermarket parts. Now, if you go onto Instagram or Facebook and you type in Super73, you'll see loads of people doing modifications to their bikes, and there's some really inspirational little numbers out there where people are tricking them up and modding them, and they're looking like little mini cafe racers, and you know, there's a real community of people out there that are modifying these bikes, and fantastic. In terms of getting your hands on those types of modification pieces, I think in the UK, it seems to be there's less people, you know, we haven't caught up yet. We haven't got as many people like they have out in America riding these. And so to get your hands on parts, we're looking at people that are making stuff in their sheds. I was looking at a headlight to upgrade the headlight to a more cafe racer style little like round LED. And you're looking at about 200 quid. But the other thing is, it's not just simply plug and play into the existing battery. You've got to have another external battery and all this sort of stuff. So bits and pieces are out there. They're less easy to come by in the UK. There's a few little bits going on at the moment, but I'm sure that's going to pick up. In terms of actual parts, warranty parts of this bike, so I think it's got a 2-year warranty, that's what concerns me. So as an owner, when I purchased this bike, I was told it was going to be a 6-week turnaround. You know, it was going to come from their European, Super73's European distribution company, and I was going to have my bike within a 6-week period. It ended up being about 9 or 10 weeks from the date that I placed the order, and in between there was no communication, and I'd phoned the shop on a couple of times saying any news on when the bike's turning up, and they had no news from Super73 themselves, the company. And they said that that's what they find, even though Super73 had proclaimed to have sorted out and ironed out all their communication issues, that actually they hadn't, because the shop couldn't even give me any information at all. I literally phoned them one day, they had no news, and on the very next day I got an email saying your bike's ready for collection. So they didn't even know that the bike was turning up. So what worries me is if something goes wrong with the bike in terms of the hub motor goes, or something electric gets a fault, that getting a replacement part from Super73 is going to be a nightmare potentially. So let's talk the ride. If you've ever ridden a BMX, it's pretty much like that. The riding height is not adjustable. So as you can see, I'm 5'4". I'm touching the floor with my tiptoes and the pads on my feet, but they're not flat-footed. But obviously, it doesn't really matter on a bike because you can tilt yourself however high. But if you're a tall person, that's the sort of height that you're looking at. I'm 5'4", and I'm sort of just about sort of tiptoeing-ish on the bike. Like I mentioned, the seat is not adjustable, so everything is sort of set in this position. In terms of the comfort, the tyres are lovely and chunky. You see those big chunky tyres on it. They're great on the roads. They absorb a lot of the bumps, a lot of the potholes, that type of thing. It really does take a lot of the shock out of riding a push bike. The other thing is this seat, it's got like a really spongy memory foam on it, I think it is, or something like that. Well, it's a really spongy seat, and even on long distances, you know, your bum is going to be fine. It's not like when you're riding one of those razor blade seats that's like bing up your bum. Super73 has really got the comfort bit nailed. In terms of the brakes, so the ZG comes with mechanical disc brakes. So you have got disc brakes, but they are mechanical, so you've got a cable in there, they're not hydraulic. I would have preferred the stopping power of a hydraulic disc brake because what you've got to contend with is the weight of this bike. So this is like I mentioned, it's a 33 kilogram bike. You then also got the weight of the rider. You've got to think about the speed that you're going to be doing as well. You're pedal assisted. If you're off-road and you're doing your 28 miles an hour, all of that is going to compound up into an extended stopping distance. Like I said, I would have preferred the hydraulics, and I think an upgraded model of this, the R versions, have got hydraulics. This one, the ZX, comes with mechanical. Yeah, they're good, but hydraulics would be better. Swapping them out is not so simple. So because it is an electronic bike, the brake handles, the levers are slightly different. You'll notice it's got a wire that runs into the handlebar here, into the actual lever. And what that is a cutout. So as you're pedaling, if you pull the brake, that sends a signal to the motor to cut the power from the motor. So you're not pulling the brakes and the pedal assist is still pushing you forward. It actually cuts the pedal assist out, so that all you're doing is dealing with the momentum that you've already built up, so you're just stopping as quickly as possible. So yeah, it's a shame in that you can't just swap out brakes for brakes, but I suppose it's a good thing in that you've got something like that that actually does cut the power and is helping a little bit more. So this bike is not really designed to be ridden, I wouldn't say. It's not set up for it. If you've ever owned a BMX, you know what I mean. It's a fun bike. It's a bike to have fun on, and you can see that from the styling and the way that it is set up. It is purely about fun. Yeah, it's not designed to be ridden, and I'll tell you why. Even though the frame is aluminium, it is a heavy bike because of the batteries and all the rest of it. If you put this on level 1 or level 2 and you power assist, and you decide I'm going to use my gears and I'm going to make up the other 50% and give it some, you find it's like you're fighting the bike. It really does not enjoy being used like that, and that's because Your turning circle on your cog here is like, you know, it's like trying to pedal a BMX really fast, and we all know what that was like. But it's, yeah, it really does just want to take you for a ride. It's like if you settle into the fact that not the bike's in charge, but you got to treat this bike the way it wants to be treated and not do it, you know, it's not going to do, not that it's not going to do what you want it to do, because it's going to force you to have fun on it. That's what it's going to do. You're going to put it in level 4 because you're just going to put it in level 4 because you're not going to want to have a fight with a bike. And as soon as you put it in level 4 and you put it on the easiest setting on the cog, you literally give it a slight touch to the pedal and you zoom in off. Because what you find is there's no point to you pedaling, there's no point, because it just does feel like a fight. So you might as well just sit back, relax, stick it on 4, put it on the easiest one and let yourself just zoom all around town. Because that really is what this bike is designed to do. It's really designed to have fun on. If you're after fun, I don't think you're going to beat the Super 73. You can kick it about like you would your old BMX when you were a kid. Of course it's heavier. I wouldn't want to send this off of a ramp that I made like I did when I was a kid, you know, go flying off ramps on my bike. And that's because obviously you've got the hub in the rear wheel and I wouldn't want to, you know, smash it or do any damage. So yeah, you're not going to do anything crazy on it, but you can buy off-road tyres for it. It has got the off-road mode where you can go up to 28 miles an hour on it. You can do skids on it. When you go up and down bumps, or if you were to jump on and off of a curb, not that you would, but if you were to do something like that, it really does absorb all the stuff. It is a little nifty, round town, fun little bike. And this is going to be the ideal addition to my camper van. Again, I've been sort of zooming around town on it with all the cycle super highways now, especially like I said, central London and inside Shoreditch and stuff. It's a really lovely little bit of kit to just get about on, beat all the traffic, not have to worry about is it a one-way street and whatever, because there's so many cycle lanes now that just cut through everything. Yeah, my only concern is, like I mentioned, my biggest concerns are parts, if anything goes wrong warranty-wise, and I wouldn't feel comfortable leaving it out anywhere, just because I think the nickability of it is huge. So I hope that's given you a little bit more information on whether or not, you know, a Super 73 is for you. If you're after a commuter bike that you're gonna ride around on and get a little bit fitter on, this is not the bike. If you are after a bike to zip around on, have some fun and feel like you're in Back to the Future as Marty McFly, this is the bike for you. So if you haven't yet checked out the Let Us Live website, go to www.letuslive.co.uk. It is a website that is inspired by motorcycles and adventure. So if that sounds like your thing, hop over to the website, put Tony reviews in a checkout and grab yourself a bargain. In the meantime, safe riding, safe driving, happy adventures, and I'll see you all in the next one.